Have you ever sat down to do something important, opened your laptop, looked at the task, and felt absolutely nothing? Not resistance, not fear, just emptiness. You know what needs to be done. You even want the results. But somehow your mind refuses to move. So you start wondering, have I become lazy? But what if the problem isn't laziness at all? What if your brain is sending a completely different message, and you've been interpreting it the wrong way this entire time? Most people think burnout looks dramatic. A breakdown, panic attack, complete collapse. But often, burnout is much quieter. It looks like procrastination, avoidance, brain fog, losing interest in things you used to care about. And because these symptoms look similar to laziness from the outside, many people spend months blaming themselves for a problem that isn't actually about motivation. The damage goes deeper than productivity. You begin questioning your character, your discipline, your identity. You see others moving forward while you feel stuck. And slowly, a new story begins forming in your mind. Maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. But psychology tells a different story. When people are truly lazy, they generally don't feel much conflict. They aren't constantly worried about what they should be doing. Burned out people are different. They care deeply. That's exactly why they suffer. They want to act, but something inside feels exhausted. And that distinction changes everything. Because burnout is often not a failure of effort. It's the consequence of too much effort for too long. In psychology, burnout is considered a stress adaptation. An adaptation, not a defect. Your brain is designed to protect you. When it detects prolonged emotional, cognitive, or physical strain, it starts conserving resources. The same way your phone enters low power mode when the battery gets critically low. The phone isn't broken. It's trying to survive. And your brain does something remarkably similar. Which brings us to the first sign. Sign number 1. You feel tired even after resting. Not sleepy. Tired. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling depleted. Because burnout isn't always about physical energy. It's often about mental energy. The brain regions responsible for attention and self-control become overloaded from constant demand. Resting your body doesn't automatically recharge those systems. Sign number 2. Simple tasks feel strangely difficult. Replying to an email, making a phone call, folding laundry. Things you once did automatically now feel heavier than they should. This happens because cognitive resources are limited. When stress remains high for long periods, your brain starts treating ordinary tasks as expensive decisions. Everything begins to require more effort than before. Sign number 3. You procrastinate things you genuinely care about. This confuses many people. If you care about it, why avoid it? Because burnout changes the brain's relationship with effort. Tasks become associated with exhaustion. So your brain starts avoiding them, not because they're unimportant, but because they feel costly. Sign number 4. You feel emotionally numb. You don't feel excited. But you don't feel deeply sad either. It's like life has been turned down to a lower volume. Psychologists sometimes describe this as emotional exhaustion. When emotional systems are overloaded, the brain reduces sensitivity as a protective mechanism, like lowering the brightness on an overheating screen. Sign number 5. Small problems feel overwhelming. A minor inconvenience ruins your mood. A simple setback feels enormous. This happens because stress reduces your brain's available coping capacity. The problem isn't necessarily bigger. Your mental bandwidth is smaller. Sign number 6. You keep telling yourself to try harder. Ironically, this often makes things worse. Many burned-out people respond by increasing self-criticism. But research shows chronic self-criticism activates threat responses in the brain. Instead of creating motivation, it creates more stress, which drains even more energy. Sign number 7. Nothing feels rewarding anymore. Achievements don't feel satisfying. Progress feels empty. This is often linked to changes in the brain's reward system. When stress remains elevated for long periods, activities that once felt meaningful may temporarily lose their emotional impact. And this is where many people mistakenly label themselves lazy. So what actually helps? Not pushing harder, recovering smarter. The first principle is simple. Reduce invisible load. Write down every open responsibility occupying mental space. Your brain uses working memory to track unfinished tasks. When too many remain active, mental fatigue increases. Externalizing them onto paper frees cognitive resources. Second, lower the activation barrier. Instead of telling yourself to finish a project, tell yourself to work for 5 minutes. Behavioral psychology shows action often creates motivation, not the other way around. Movement comes first. Motivation follows. Third, protect recovery without earning it. Many people treat rest as a reward. Burnout recovery requires seeing rest as maintenance. The brain consolidates emotional processing and restores attention during periods of genuine recovery. Fourth, replace self-judgment with observation. Instead of saying, "I'm lazy," ask, "What is my brain responding to right now?" Curiosity activates different mental processes than criticism. Creates information instead of shame. And finally, reintroduce small sources of meaning, not productivity. Meaning, conversation, a walk, a hobby, a moment of sunlight. The brain's reward systems often recover gradually through repeated experiences of safety, connection, and engagement, not through force. If there's one mental model to remember, it's this. Imagine your mind as a battery. Most people keep looking at the percentage. Why am I only at 20%? Why can't I perform like I used to? But the more important question is, why has the battery been draining so quickly? Burnout isn't about weakness. It's about depletion. And depletion requires replenishment, not punishment. So if you've been calling yourself lazy lately, pause for a moment. Look beneath the label. Maybe what you're experiencing isn't a lack of character. Maybe it's the natural consequence of carrying too much for too long. And maybe the most productive thing you can do right now is stop fighting your exhaustion long enough to understand it. Because sometimes the problem isn't that you've stopped trying. It's that you've been trying to survive for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply have enough energy again.